Welcome to Crowned and Candid, Real Sips, Real Stories. I'm your host, Alicia Braswell, a life and well-being coach and owner of Empowered Within. This is the podcast with real people, real stories, and real conversations about the journey, the breakthroughs, and everything in between. And fellas, this is for you too, because breakthroughs have no gender. Let's get ready to pour into you. When we're financially challenged, somewhere along the way, we started believing the number in our account says something about the woman behind it, but it doesn't. It doesn't take your crown. It's time we stopped confusing what we owe with who we are. Today, I'm sitting down with my own financial coach, Raya Reaves, founder of City Girls Savings. In this episode, I get candid and tell my story alongside hers and how investing in myself showed me the strength I didn't know I had. Now, let's get started with your self worth is not your net worth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back, or great to see you again on another episode of Crowned and Candid. Look, guys, I got my own note cards. I'm so excited. So, I am your host, Alicia Braswell, a life and empowerment coach and the owner and founder of Empowered Within. And today I have someone who has become a godsend to my life. I mean, I will get into the story a little later, but my guest showed up, like literally showed up in my Instagram and in my going down a rabbit hole when I knew that I needed to do something about my debt. And I lucked up on Raya Reaves. And so she has graciously accepted the invitation to come here and have an honest conversation about debt, investing, and we may not always have it all together, but sometimes there could be one thing that helps you transform to say, you know what, it's time to make a change. And so I know she's worked with hundreds of people. She's got a podcast. Her website is amazing. I'll have all of that information linked. She's got a Facebook community that people can share and uplift and just congratulate on all the movement that they're making toward debt repayment. And again, like I said, she's a gem to me. And I am so excited to have Raya Reeves, the founder and owner of City Girls Savings. So,
Oh,
welcome, Raya.
thank you so much, Alicia. That was such a sweet introduction. I appreciate you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I appreciate you. And we'll get into my story a little later.
hmm
Look, she's like, we will get into your story. I'm here to share, if one story can help impact, I'm here because
Same.
we may not all be going through debt who are watching this, but sometimes it's about having compassion for people who may be struggling or knowing that maybe there are people in your life that are struggling and they're just not saying anything about it.
Right.
So I think it also will just, it as we talk about it, it opens a door to say it's okay. And it's okay if you're there, it's okay if you're not, or if you're just thinking about what are my next steps.
Yeah. And
So,
just a quick note on that. I feel like money is such a taboo topic. Getting
mhm,
into debt specifically, people are ashamed. People are afraid to talk about it. But you would be surprised at how many people are actually in debt, or have been in debt, or know someone in debt. So I think, as
mhm,
a collective, if we can just work to um, let down our guards a little bit when it comes to
mhm.
talking about money, I think we could all benefit from that. So I'm very happy to be having this conversation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So, Rhea, why don't you introduce yourself to the Crowned and Candid community?
Well, I am Raya Reaves, the founder and finance coach of City Girl Savings. I started City Girl Savings back in 2015, so over a decade in now. My vision for City Girl Savings was to create a place, a resource, a community for women to come learn about finance without feeling scared or intimidated. There is, as I mentioned, such a stigma around money. I wanted to do my part to help break that stigma. I myself had money troubles before I started the company, and I turned my situation around with a budget, with proper spending, with spending control. I wanted to help women do the same because it is possible to have a life you love, to do the things you love, but also make sure your responsibilities are covered, make sure you're working towards your goals. You can find that balance, and that's
Mhm.
what City Girl Savings is all about.
Thank you. And I know we'll talk about this a bit later, but one thing I'd like to add is that um, the budgeting process Rhea took me through, I didn't have to give up everything that I wanted. I had some
No,
non
ma'am.
negotiables. So we'll get into that later. So
Mhm.
you too can still have a life, live the life you want while budgeting and getting out of debt. So, Rhea, you started by talking about you also were in the situation of being in debt and having to create a plan for yourself. Can you walk us back to that moment?
Well, I'll walk you back even further, right?
Okay.
I think, my debt story involves a lot of credit card debt, and
Mhm.
that came from just a desire to keep up with the Joneses. I was in college in LA, and I was really doing too much to try to keep up. I was constantly overspending, and it got to a point too where I would get that rush. I mean, we've all had that spender's high where, you go swipe your card, you get new things, it's so exciting. And then you get home and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I had many a moments like that. And I would say over the course of at least 4 or 5 years, my debt, skyrocketed. It wasn't until I almost got evicted from my LA apartment that I realized, oh my God, like I can't keep doing this. I will literally, so I obviously could have been on the street. What would have likely happened was I would move back home to Austin, which I absolutely did not want to do. So that was sort of my reckoning moment. It didn't happen overnight, Alicia, and I want anybody who is going through a debt payoff journey to know it doesn't happen overnight, but it does start with you taking that first step. And for me, it was getting clear on my numbers. I was working, it was my first job out of college, and I would literally like open up the notepad app on my computer at work, and I would put my paycheck amount, and then I would just deduct everything that I had, to put my money towards, and I wasn't left with much after that, but that's how it started. And as I started making more, I could put more towards my debt, and it just sort of went from there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm right there with you with the whole being in college situation. What I would do is use my student loans to fund my lifestyle without thinking that at some point, one day, I'm going to need to pay that back. And I'm not going to really care about the lifestyle that I had back in college now. So I completely understand. It's you swipe the card. I do it to this day. You swipe it and you're like, yes. And then I get home or I get up from the computer away or close the Amazon tab and I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel very good. So it's things like that. It's also like a
Mm-hmm.
physical emotional thing that we get
Right.
into that can keep us where we are. Did you have a roommate? I didn't know if you had said.
No, I was living alone. It was all me, and I loved it so much. I just wasn't managing my money
Yeah,
properly to really
yeah,
afford it,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. During that time, were there other things that were going on for you that you were dealing with?
Hmm, that's a great question. Yes, there were things going on. I mean, I was graduated from college in my first kind of real world job. I don't think I really understood the magnitude of that. There were things that I did properly, like I immediately signed up for my job's 401k. Like there were a lot of things I did right, but I don't think I was fully present or aware of what was truly going on, I was still sort of in that, oh, I'm free in LA kind of mindset. And that, quickly came crashing
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. I can understand that. So you started doing budgeting and putting a little more toward the debt that you had. At what point did you decide I need to start City Girl Savings?
This was all happening while I was in California. City Girl Savings
Mm,
wasn't a thought. I was focused on managing the money I did have, which wasn't much, by the way, but that's where my focus was. And I would say about a year or two into that, things were actually, I was seeing progress slowly but surely. But then my father was tragically killed by a drunk driver. And as much as I didn't want to move back to Austin, it just made sense so I could be with my mom and my brother.
mhm,
Thankfully, my job let me work from home, work remotely, really. And now I didn't have the LA apartment. I didn't have the gas. I didn't have, as many expenses as I did while I was in California. But I had built the foundation of managing my money and slowly paying off debt. When I got to Austin, I got to expedite that. Not only did I get to expedite that, Alicia, but I got to have more money available to me, but I had already been kind of conditioned to control myself with spending.
mhm.
So I was able to give myself a little bit of wiggle room in moderation while paying off my debt. And in the midst of doing that, I would say less than a year of doing that, I was like, oh, I think I figured this out.
Mhm.
And if I can figure it out, someone who loves to travel, loves to go out to eat, loves to do all those things, if I can figure this financial code out, I can help other women do the same. And that's where City Girl Savings kind of came into
Oh,
place.
and I'm glad that it came into place. Oh my goodness. I told you it was at a point when I needed it, even though I didn't know I needed it. For me, when I think back, I wish that someone would have told me about interest rates on credit cards. That's not
Yeah,
a class. Or if it is, I didn't sign up for it.
me neither. Me neither.
And I had to learn that, okay, this is getting out of hand when, okay, you've got one or two, and then you pay the minimums, and it's like, I'm never getting out of this cycle. Emotionally, it impacted me from the standpoint of self esteem or just feeling like failure, feeling like I just can't do it. And then I would end up in this cycle. And then I'd say, okay, well, I can't do it. So let me just go back out there and keep
Yeah,
spending the
that's
money.
so
So,
common too, Alicia. I mean, a lot
yeah.
of my clients have felt that way. A lot of the women I talk to, and even men, it's this mentality that, like, well, well, everything I do, I'm still in the same place. I might as well just do what I want. And while I understand
Mm-hmm.
that, I think we live in a society that promotes instant gratification and instant results. And with paying off debt because of interest, it's
Mm-hmm.
not instant, right? You don't really see the fruits of
Mm-hmm.
your labor right away, but you still got to plant and water
Mm-hmm.
the seeds. And I think it's really important for people to remember that, even on the days where it feels like, why am I doing this?
Exactly. I mean, it impacted so much of mental health. And, I was even embarrassed and ashamed. It was difficult for me to explain to my husband how much debt that I had. We knew we had debt, but I was ashamed to say, this is the amount of debt. Being ashamed came from
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to get a hold
Mm-hmm.
of it because it's this cycle and cycle and cycle that I'm in. So when you have clients who are very similar, start with how you walk them through this is where we start, this is how we'll continue, and this is could potentially be your path forward.
Well, I think it first starts with getting clear on what your situation looks like. And this is a step in the process a lot of people are afraid to take, understandably, right? Because it's almost like if we don't know, it's not that bad, or we don't know how bad it is, so we don't have to fix it. But you can't fix it if you don't know what's broken, right? And so
Acknowledge.
exactly. Like you have to know. And, it's almost like ripping off the band aid. Like
Mhm.
once you know, it's like, oh, okay. 9 times out of 10, it's not as bad as you thought. And even if it is, at least you know, right? And now we can take that next step forward.
But that band-aid hurts so
It
bad.
hurts. Of course it hurts. It hurts, but at least we got it off, right? I mean, are you going to wear the band-aid forever?
And then you're
No.
bleeding. Okay, I just want to let you know. Now I'm bleeding. I'm
Right. Yeah. Well, we're moving from the band-aid to like stitches, and eventually like everything heals the way it should. So it starts with that awareness, like what money is coming in, what money is going out, what does your debt situation actually look like? From there, it's getting clear on, okay, what are the non-negotiables? Like you mentioned earlier, Alicia, like what's super important to you? Because for me, my philosophy to budgeting is if it does not include the things you love, you're not going to stick to it. It's not sustainable. It's not realistic. Now, that doesn't mean we get to spend everything. We get to have everything we love, right? But you should be able to enjoy yourself in moderation. And so I work with my clients to get clear on like what their boundaries are, if you will. And then once their responsibilities are covered, once the things they love are covered, everything else needs to go to debt.
Mhm.
And as with my plans, like I actually create true debt repayment schedules for my
Mhm.
clients. So it's like, if you stick to this budget, this is when you will be debt free. And I'm a Virgo, so like seeing it like cut out and laid out like that, golden. I know it's not like that for everyone, but I think I try to encourage my clients to understand that look, time is going to go by regardless. If you stick to this, you will be debt free by this date. And that can be incredibly empowering. And then from there, it's just working with my clients weekly, bi weekly, monthly to make sure they're sticking to the plan because it's a long game,
I
as you
know.
know.
And so everyone, I'm sticking to the plan. So
Yes.
just to take one step back, I signed up. You had, it was a boot camp. It was a program that she had. It was a course of, I think it was 12 weeks. So we had 12 weeks together.
Mhm.
And I saw myself self making strides. I
Yes.
never thought, oh, I'm budgeting, but I still get to get my nails done. Really, this is amazing. Because I always had the thought of budgeting. You cut everything out and you
Mhm.
just focus on that. And I think that's what makes it hard for some people to stick to a budget is because they take all the fun out. Like, I
Right.
can't eat out, I can't get my nails done, my hair, my toes, or whatever the case may be. And then again, you just kind of give up. And so after the 12-week program, I said, I can't stop because I know me. And if any of you out there know me, no, I needed that accountability. So I said, oh my gosh, we have to continue working together. And to this day, it's been what, 2 years now, 2 or 3 years? We
Yeah.
are still meeting, and she is still holding me accountable to this budget. I admit there are times when I have to say, oops, I might have overspent a bit. But the way that you approach it, and it's okay, it's okay. Let's look and see where you are. It comes across in a way that is not finger pointing or berating or like feeling like I'm a child and you're like, you can't spend any money anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I appreciate that. And you talk about your own story, Alicia, but you've done so much amazing work in our time together. So I just need to call that out. I said it's a long game, but like when you do the work, you see the results, and we've seen your results, girl.
We've
So
seen my results
yes, we have. Hey.
and they get better and better. So, when you're working with women, sometimes I'm sure you talk to some women or men and they decide, no, this isn't for me. Why do you think that there's such a resistance to why people want to get assistance with creating a budget to get out of debt or even just to save money?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Um, I think it's it's a mindset block, right? I mean, well, you think, why should I? Well, I'm already bad with money. Why do I need to spend money to get better with money? Like that's just me spending more money.
Hmm.
They're seeing it like that instead of an investment, right? Like,
Hmm.
for example, we all know if you want to lose weight, you got to eat right and you got to work out. But we don't always do it. So we'll hire a personal trainer or a nutritionist to help keep us on track. The same applies to your finances. You
Hmm.
know, you got to spend less than you make, right? And then use that extra to help you get ahead. Easy to say in theory, not so much to put into practice. So, just like you would hire a personal trainer for your fitness, you would hire a personal trainer for your finances. And I think it's that mindset shift of, well, I'm already bad with money or I don't have money, so I can't spend money, that really holds people back.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. For me, it's the once again accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband, y'all know him, James. You'll get to meet him very soon. He's like, "Well, I can hold you accountable," or something like that. I'm like, no. It's just like with working out. For some reason, I'm like, no, no, you can't hold me accountable to work out. It's just it's too close. I feel like I need
Yeah.
somebody external that
Mm-hmm.
holds me accountable. So yeah, I'll get a personal trainer. I know I need to
Mm-hmm.
go to the gym because I'm paying my personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I made the decision to continue to invest in City Girl Savings and Rhea because yes, that extra money could go towards maybe having somebody clean my house every month, maybe, but it's an investment on me to continue to learn
Yes.
how at some point, okay, I need to be able to do this on my own, or hey, I'm paying, let's just say, investment banker to manage my money. Why can't I pay someone or invest in someone to help me invest in myself and to go where I need to go with my budget?
I think too, you mentioned investment. That's exactly what it is, right? And with any type of investment, you don't see instant returns or you don't see instant gains, but the growth compounds over time, right?
Mhm.
And so anyone who's looking to improve in their finances or any area, their career, their relationship, investing in developing the skill set you need to achieve your goals, it's always going to pay off.
It's always, even
Always.
me as a coach, right? As I talk to people,
Yeah,
yes, it is an investment, but it's an investment in yourself
correct.
so that you can live and be fully present in the life that you have right now on your own terms. One of the things, this money mindset shift, and I believe you have something like that on your website. You did a lot of that for me, and I will tell you guys out there, working with Rhea is the first time I have ever had an emergency fund.
Hmm.
Ever, ever. And I never thought I would be able to get there. But yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to couples, let's say you're talking with a couple and maybe one partner has debt and the other one doesn't, and they're trying to work that out. What do you tell people who are in that partnership, whether they both have debt or one does and one doesn't? How do you talk to them about City Girl Savings and how to come together to
Hmm.
make a plan?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I want to say personal finance is personal, right? Like, while it's like people can have debt, everybody's situation is unique and different.
Hmm.
But, I think the biggest thing for couples who are working through debt, maybe one partner is the spender, one's the saver, one's frugal, one has debt. The biggest thing is understanding where each other is coming from and being that support system. Like I'm a coach, I'm there for accountability and support. But if you are doing this with your partner, there has to be that support lever from
Hmm.
your partner as well. And so that's something that, I like to really focus on when I work with couples. It's, just because you wouldn't make this choice doesn't mean they're going to think exactly like you do. So almost like encouraging couples to sort of open their mindsets to understand where their partner is coming from. And that just allows them to approach the situation with a little bit more grace and empathy. As you mentioned earlier, Alicia, there's a lot of shame and embarrassment. And just to be able to like be honest and open with your partner is such a win. You don't want to feel like you're doing that and your partner is making you feel bad for it. So there's a lot of that aspect towards working with
Yeah.
couples.
Yeah. I always heard growing up, well, put a little something aside for yourself. Your husband doesn't need to know.
Hmm.
And I've learned that that myth is not accurate. You can have something for yourself, but I have found it to be more beneficial to have that open conversation.
Yes. I mean, you married or you chose your partner for a reason, right? So if you feel like you can't be honest because of how they're going to respond, that's definitely something I would encourage people to really sit with, right? Because I mean, if they're your partner, they should be able to support you, and you may be surprised with the type of help they can
Yes,
provide once they know what you're actually going through.
right. Because accountability, you have the accountability, but I think your partner can be support and somewhat accountable too, right? So
Yes,
it's
100%.
coming at you, but it's not something that you should ever feel bad about. No one should make you feel bad about it,
Right?
especially when you have a plan that you can hold yourself to. And I get
Yeah.
that from you so much because if there was no leeway in things, it would be hard.
It would be, yeah. Even for a single person or someone in a couple,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you got to set yourself up for success. And you know, there are a lot of intense financial influencers and coaches out there who say,
Hmm.
don't spend a dime until your debt is gone. That wouldn't work for me, doesn't work
Not
for me.
sustainable.
Not sustainable. Good luck. Good luck. You'll be keeping it real lean until you end up splurging, and then you're like, why did I do this? So
Right. So, what do you think? What's your take on the budgeting apps that are out there? Because I know I
hmm.
have probably tried them all and they didn't work for me. So, what is your take on all the budgeting apps that are out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're effective and helpful. I think people sort of have in their mind that there's a resource out there that does everything for them from a budgeting perspective, right? Like if I have this app, it should be able to create my budget and track my spending and tell me what I did. And that's not the case because it's technology. It's not 100% accurate. You're always going to have to go back and double check. That's fine as long as you have that expectation. My approach to budgeting is very manual. As you know, Alicia, I think, for someone who struggles with budgeting and money management and spending, I think the closer you are to your numbers, the more in control you will be. So, like for me and my clients, like we use a actual spending tracker that is manually updated so we can see exactly where their money went in conjunction with the budget. It's manual, but you know exactly what's going on. And with apps, you have to stay on top of it because if you don't, it's very easy for things to sort of fall through the cracks or get miscategorized, and it's not going to be as effective for you. So I
Mhm.
don't mind apps. I think they're good. It's just making sure you understand how to use them and how to actually, confirm their accuracy.
Yes, like I said, I've used them all, and I get to the point I start ignoring them. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just waiting for City Girl Savings to come out with an app.
Well, I mean, you hear my approach. Like I can come up with the app, but I'm still gonna need you to be in there and making sure you're doing what you're supposed to, and the app's doing what it's supposed to. You know what I mean?
No hiding by going into the app. I
No
love that.
hiding.
No
In fact,
hiding.
I'll be able to see it all. No hiding.
Um, you also, when we started working together, and I've seen in the Facebook community that you have about, where do you put your money if you're saving it? So you had advice about making sure you're in a high yield savings account. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that is?
You have, a general savings account that could be linked to your checking at your major bank. If you've never looked at the interest rate on that savings account, I want anyone listening to go check, but it's probably something like 0.1%. Very small, something, but a high yield savings account is a type of savings account with usually an online bank. So a bank that doesn't have the same type of expenses like a brick and mortar location, and because they don't have those types of expenses, they can pay more in interest for customers keeping their money with them. So, as I mentioned, a normal savings account might have 0.1%, 0.3%. If you go to a high yield savings account, you could get 3.5%, 4%. So, you're 10xing even more just for having your money in this type of account. No gimmicks like what's the catch. There is no catch. It's your money is just in a different bank that's designed to provide you with a high yield interest rate. Period.
Your money starts to make money. So
Literally, yes, exactly.
and you don't have to have a ton of money to
Nope.
put in this type of high yield savings account. You can start it with $5, $10. I think I've opened one with no money,
Yeah,
and just as you want to put money in, you can. So that's another great thing. If people think, oh, in order for me to have some of a high yield savings account, no, you just open it and then
just
you
get
can put
started.
money. Just you got to get started. See,
Yes.
get started on budgeting, get started with the savings account. It's baby steps. It's baby steps.
And for anyone who is like, let's say someone listening has a good chunk of money in their savings account, what I want them to do is look at how much interest they've earned the last month, right? Now go online, find a high yield savings account interest rate calculator, put that same amount you have in your savings into that calculator and just see what the monthly difference is. That alone should convince you.
I know I looked at mine. I was like, oh, I'm getting an interest payment. I'm getting an interest
Yeah,
payment.
it's exciting. And when you keep your money in there and it grows, those interest payments grow too. It's very
Yes, they
exciting.
do. Yes, they do. My podcast, Crown and Candid, is built on the belief that the crown has never left for men or women because we all have crowns. It just needs to be straightened. And I know debt can make someone feel like they've lost their crown completely, like they don't feel worthy of having one until a certain number is fixed or until they get to a certain point where they feel like, okay, now I can focus on debt, or I just need to clear something out before I even start to get help with my debt. What would you say to the person who's feeling that right now?
Oh, um, in order to see any type of progress, you have to take some sort of forward movement. And that movement doesn't have to be drastic. It could be as simple as just writing all of your debts out to see like what you're actually working with. That's the first step. The second step could be knowing how much you can afford to put towards your debt extra, right? And then just slowly but surely start tackling it. And as you start to see some forward momentum and movement, if you want to take that up a notch, consider reaching out to a coach, to someone online, to a friend. If you know someone who's gone through this, don't be afraid to seek help and guidance because it can be a lonely journey.
Mhm.
And um, and if you can avoid that, you should.
Yeah, yeah. And have compassion. You know,
Yes,
if
for
it is
yourself.
someone you know and for yourself, just have the compassion. Give yourself grace, right?
Yes.
Well, so what is next for Rhea and City Girl Savings?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say working with more clients, putting out more podcast episodes, showing up for my community. I mean, it's more of the same, but I've built this life to do just that and I'm so excited for it. So that's what's next, more of the same.
All right. And so for everyone who just fell in love with you, like I did, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm everywhere at City Girl Savings. So you can go to citygirlsavings.com. If you're on Instagram, City Girl Savings, TikTok, City Girl Savings, Facebook, City Girl Savings. I am City Girl Savings
She
podcast,
is
City
City
Girl
Girl
Savings.
Savings.
Yes, so City Girl Savings. Just do a search and you'll find me.
I will also make sure that your information is in the description below. So, there's one question that I ask of all of my guests. If you could pour one thing into the cup of everyone listening today, something that keeps your cup filled, what would that be?
Ooh, it would be this: your net worth is not your self worth. So, no matter what your debt situation looks like, no matter what your savings, your investment, your retire, no matter what any of that looks like, that has nothing to do with your worth as a person. It's simply a number. So, your net worth is not your self worth.
That was beautiful. And I want everyone to repeat that to themselves. Write it down, put it on your board, put it on a sticky note, and just remember that when things get tough, it's not a reflection. It's not a reflection on you, right? It's not a reflection on you. Well, I don't know if people have been noticing my dog back here, but Harley and I, thank you so much for joining today. I hope that this has, enlightened someone, made an impact for someone, or even just some of the nuggets that we dropped that they're able to pick some of them up. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for having me, Alicia.
Bye.
Bye.